Hi.
Hey, girl.
Where are you at?
I'm at Declan's apartment.
We're at Declan's apartment.
If anyone remembers from last week.
DJ Dex.
DJ Dex.
This is my air horn. Wait, do you ever air horn? Like, do you use that when you're DJing?
Absolutely.
Oh my
God,
that.
that's great.
All right, so Declan has like a full-on podcast studio in his apartment, so we're just making it easy on ourselves.
Yeah.
And we just showed up, and here we are.
Joelle is a great entrance into the busyness episode.
Yes.
Because don't choose the path of resistance sometimes if you're feeling too busy.
Don't choose it.
And then you can choose the path of least resistance and do more shit in your life.
That's right. So yeah, we're just making this easier on ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so hi guys. We have a really fun episode today, but first we want to start with a new segment, which is our imposter moment of the week.
Yes.
So we thought if like Annie and I kind of keep it top of mind and talk about it each week on our episode, if something had come up that week, like let's share it with the audience.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. Can I go first?
Yes.
Okay. Well, wait. Okay. I have another thing I have to share with you and the audience that is crazy that I don't think I ever said in all of these episodes. But I was talking to a friend from home the other day, and they were like, well, because, in my first episode, I talk about how I want to go into comedy. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, you got next stand-up comedian in our high school yearbook, right? And then I was like, whoa.
That was your superlative?
That was my superlative. Me and Isaac Cohen. Hope you're listening, buddy. But here's the crazy part. So then I was like, can you send me a picture of our yearbook? Because I don't have a yearbook because our house burned down and we lost my yearbook and, RIP.
Story for another time.
But so I was like, can you send me a picture of my yearbook? And then she's like, well, wait. She's like, but it's so weird. She's like, it's the picture, because she was on yearbook or whatever. She's like, it's the picture you guys took for next stand-up comedian, but underneath it, there's a typo and it says next talk show host.
Oh.
And then there was another two people that won next talk show host. Whoa. And then I was like, wait a second.
Oh my God, that's so meta.
It's so meta because we're doing a talk show essentially.
Yes.
And I got next.
Well, because when you graduated high school, there was no podcasts.
Yeah, there were no podcasts.
So it's a talk show.
So they predicted the future.
Wow.
So that threw me for a loop.
That's pretty full circle.
Very full circle. Okay. But imposter. I had a big imposter syndrome moment this week. I talked about this a little bit in the first episode, but I'm involved with an organization called Rise and Shine Tennessee. They do wonderful work to make a safe and equitable Tennessee for all Tennesseans. So I got really involved to help. And again, this podcast isn't about politics, so we're not imparting our politics on any of y'all. Come as you are. But I'm passionate about having more gun legislation and reasonable, gun laws. So that's how I got involved with them. And then they do other stuff. Like we also are working on stopping some of the school voucher programs that the governor's trying to pass right now. So anyway, I haven't been as involved lately with them just because I've been personally really busy and just like going through some stuff. And it's really hard. Activism is really draining work, like emotionally. So I kind of stepped out for a couple weeks. And there's a lot of people that have been at the Capitol every day, like working really, really hard. I have not been one of them. And so I had this imposter syndrome of like, I don't know how to go. I was like, I don't deserve to be there. Like, I'm not doing the hard work right now.
Right. You're not like in the trenches every single day.
I'm not in the trenches. Yeah. Like, I didn't know how to like jump back in, So I went down to the Capitol because they were talking about a couple bills that were really important and I wanted to go show my support. And so I show up and I'm very like, everybody's really, tight knit and they have all these like stories of this crazy stuff that's happened the last couple of days while they've been down there. And I had that sort of like, oh, I'm like, I don't belong here feeling. And then I saw one of my good friends, she comes up to me and she hugs me and she's like, it is so cool that you're here. Like, I know you have a lot going on right now and thanks for coming down. And like, isn't this great that we just have this community where you're going to see like a friendly face and feel welcome? And I was like, wow.
That's really validating.
Yeah. And she like brought me out of the imposter feeling.
That's great.
Yeah. And then I saw I was like scrolling Instagram and saw this thing that really inspired me about, taking courageous small steps. And I was like, yeah, you can't feel like an imposter if you're not doing the most work
all the time.
Yeah. You still should be there.
Right.
And
it's not like you don't belong.
You still belong.
Yeah.
You just give what you can sometimes.
That's right. You give what you can.
Yeah.
You do what you can. You give what you can. It's better than nothing.
Yes. And so I was like, okay, great. So I felt like, cool, I jumped back in. It was hard. And now I feel very comfortable, like, giving, what I can and being more involved again.
I love that. Snaps.
Thanks, girl.
Snaps for that.
Snaps.
I love it. Well, that's great. I'll share mine too.
Okay.
So I was thinking about it. Now, I feel like I've had throughout my like very micro influencing career, I have like 20 something thousand followers, not 20 some thousand something followers
20,
on TikTok.
honey.
Yeah. Cute. But no, it's hard because I've gotten a lot of gifting.
Yeah.
Which is great. And that's really fun. And I've also
Sometimes I benefit.
Sometimes you do benefit.
When you're like,
you get my trickle down.
Yeah, it's great. I got a lot of great cleansers.
Yes. And I love that. And that's great. And there's nothing more validating than getting like a paid opportunity.
Yeah.
To do something I love that I've built from the ground up, that I've like, it's just truly like a really fun hobby for me.
Yeah.
And, I've had a lot of like gifting in exchange for posting, and I'm kind of not doing that anymore because I don't feel like I need to. Like, I will accept gifting, but not like, we will gift this to you and you have to post something about it. Like that I've come to the point where I will need to be paid for that.
I mean, you'd be washing your face for free, like a lot. Yeah.
So I'm glad like I set that boundary with myself, because I feel like I don't need the gifting if it means I am at the mercy of having to post about it.
Yeah.
And of course, and I will also say I actually have turned down paid opportunities that I don't feel like align with my brand or my whatever that means, right? So I know that sounds so obnoxious, but
no,
I'm only going to enter into partnerships that feel like right and authentic. So anyway, I get like a dream brand reaches out to me and asks me to do a paid collaboration, and then which I was just like, yes. Thank you. Yes. This is amazing. Like, such a bucket list moment.
Yeah.
And I respond with, they ask me what my rates are. And that's where my imposter syndrome comes in, because I'm lucky to have some friends in the industry that have helped me like guide me through what's appropriate and but at the end of the day, like where I'm at is like, I wanted to work with this brand anyway. Mm-hmm. So I would have done it for next to nothing, but like, I can't say next to nothing. Like I have to say what my rate is, and I have to say it proudly with my chest. And if they say no, I just have to kind of be okay with that. Yeah. Even though secretly I want to be like, no, but I'll do anything. I'll do it anyway because I want it. So I guess, the long story long or whatever is that I said what I wanted. They accepted. Yeah. And then I'm like, fuck, did I lowball myself? Right. So like next time I might say more.
Which is like a metaphor for just being a woman who works. Like we always I feel like we do lowball ourselves. Yeah, all the time.
Yes.
And then next thing you know, it's like, because like if this was a job, like a regular job opportunity, I've approached that the same way where I've been like, but I really want this job.
Right.
But
so I'll take less money.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. So ladies, hopefully those were inspiring to you. And men, whoever's listening to this.
Yeah. Men, maybe lowball yourselves a little more.
Yeah, maybe men should lowball themselves a little more and women should just like step it up. No, but I think if you ever have an imposter syndrome moment that is like on your heart and you want to send it in, DM us on Instagram, Great Imposters Podcast.
Yeah.
And then also email us, greatimposterspodcast@gmail.com, and we'll read them on the air and we'll talk about them.
Yeah, we'll talk about them.
I actually really want to do that. So someone send them or I'm going to like reach out to you and make you send one.
Yeah. I know who to find. I know the imposters.
We know who you are.
That's great though. I'm glad, like, I feel like now that you got that one sponsorship and scary, like having to name your rate, now it's going to be like so much easier.
I hope so.
Moving forward,
Yes.
You've had multiple sponsorships, but this was the first one where you had to be like,
name your rate.
Oh my God, what's my rate?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our imposter syndrome experience of the week. Okay, so today we're going to talk about busyness.
Yes. And not to be confused with business.
Correct.
Busyness.
Yeah, which apparently is spelled BUSYNESS, which keeps really tripping me up.
That is news to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm wrong.
That's a real word?
I thought.
Okay. Well,
yeah, because business was the I.
Right.
So it's busyness.
Declan, will you check that?
Yeah.
We're going to have Declan Google
DJ
that.
Dex on the Goog.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk about busyness. And it's kind of a full circle moment because we recorded and have launched the episodes about making friends. And we talked a lot in those episodes about how y'all responded to our poll saying that like you don't have the bandwidth for friendship, or
Yes.
you're too busy right now for more friendships. But then we talked about all of the research and really important data points around how important it is to make friends and spend time with friends and have platonic relationships in your life. So we were like, let's dig into this busyness thing. And then Joelle and I got talking about it more, and we realized that it's a trigger for both of us.
Yes.
And I actually am I shouldn't have had any more caffeine because there's like so much I want to say about the topic. I'm having to like calm down. But so we decided that we were going to split the episode into 2 parts where we're going to do, one episode, but 2 different topics where we're going to talk about like busyness in your career, busyness in your work, busyness in what you do for your life, and then busyness when it pertains to like social life and kids.
Correct.
A little bit of kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, you'll hear this as we get into it, but Annie and I have a completely different, not take, but we have different, like, I guess, triggers, like you could say, when we get into the corporate / like, I guess corporate America feelings on being busy all the time. So we have 2 different angles with it. So
and I
be
think
interesting.
it's really important to tell our users that,
Users.
I mean, sorry.
Should we call them our users?
Listeners.
Yeah.
Users. It's really important to tell you guys that I just recently spent a couple of weeks in Europe. So
She's so fancy.
I'm in my, white girl who studied abroad phase right now. So as I was sipping cappuccinos over there and stuff, I had a lot of reflection time on the busyness of American culture. So forgive me as I impart that upon you all.
Yeah. She's like, I'll have a croissant.
Yeah, I'll have a croissant and take my time. But no, I mean, I think, and then again, to bring it back to imposter syndrome, we both have experience in our career and in our personal lives feeling like an imposter, feeling like you're not doing enough, feeling like you're not doing a good job, feeling like you don't belong somewhere because you're not busy enough.
Yes.
I'm like, we got to stop that shit.
We got to stop that shit. And that's where I'm coming from. So
Okay,
Annie,
you go first.
I go first?
Okay, you want me to go first?
I want you to go first.
Okay, cool.
I want to sit back for a sec.
All right. Sit back, have some water in your new
And my new
influenced Awala. water bottle. Sponsor us.
Yep.
Talk about it all day. Yeah, Stanley Cups.
they've had their day.
They had their moment. All right. So, I told y'all that I left my job, like getting close to a year now, which is the scary, literally like 10. Yeah. Like
Damn.
9 or 10 months. I know.
That's crazy.
I know. It was, intentional. Like I was ready to leave the corporate workforce for a little while. And I feel like I should get like a shirt that says it. I'm a burnout. I burnt the fuck out.
You're like the result.
I'm the result. Like, let me be, what is it called? Like,
The poster child.
the poster child. Let me be the air of cautionary
Cautionary
tale.
tale. There
Let
we
me
go.
be the cautionary tale for you guys. Like, I burnt out. In the beginning of a lot of my burnout was around travel. Like,
Yeah.
specifically, and Joelle's going to talk a little bit more about like specific sales career busyness traps that we fall into. But for me, like also being in sales and being in corporate America and being in tech, that like busyness for the sake of busyness was so prolific. I was losing my mind. And when I was in the beginning of my career and I didn't have kids, I was all in. I was like,
Sure.
I will be that annoying kid that's like, yeah, no problem. I'll go to Australia for 48 hours.
Right.
And I did that because I was like, cool.
Are you serious?
Yes. I was like, cool, I get to go to Australia. Or I went to Brazil
What company were you with when you
with
did that?
Razorfish, my
Damn.
ad agency.
That's pretty cool.
It was super cool.
Yeah.
But I could do that. I had the
Sure.
capacity. And then like I went to Brazil for like 4 days.
Damn.
And so I got to do all these cool trips and I could just travel and I could grind and I could hustle and I could make everyone around me feel bad about not doing enough.
Yes.
Like I was like, yeah, I'm doing it.
The words grind and hustle send a chill up my spine.
Blah. Blah. And then when even in my last job, I had kids and I still was grinding and hustling. Like I hope all of my oldest daughter listens to this someday because I missed almost her entire first year of her life. Like
Sucks.
Yeah, I really did. And I was on the road all the time working, or I was like working late, picking her up, getting her to bed, and then working more. And then same thing like with my pregnancy with my second daughter. I was traveling and working so much that my OB was like, I'm going to write you a letter to your companies to say you can't travel anymore? Because I was going to the emergency room all the time. I was having bleeding and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. I just was like having bleeding during my pregnancy and they couldn't figure out what was going wrong. It was none of like the classic things they look for. But I was just like, I think I was just so stressed out. And I was in the air all the time. And I was like, I remember after I had my first daughter, I was an Alaska Airlines flyer because my travel was on the West Coast and we were living in Seattle. And I reached like the equivalent of like platinum medallion status in like 7 months with a baby. Damn. And I was like, that's so stupid.
That's fucked.
It was fucked. And I just was always on the road and I was missing everything. And then, and then I had this really tumultuous pregnancy, but I wouldn't slow down because I was like, no, I have to grind because then I'm going to be on maternity leave and I'm going to be far behind. And then COVID happened, which was the forcing function for me to slow down. Thank God.
Thank God for COVID.
Thank God.
JK.
Just kidding. But one silver lining, we all had to slow down.
We all had to slow down. That's true.
Anyway, so then I had my surprise third baby. Okay. And my first thought was like, well, my career's over because you can't have 3 kids 3 and under and still have this amazing career that I've built. And that was when I started to be like, I don't think I can do this forever. Like, I think I'm missing important things and I think that it's not sustainable. But then what I realized was like, I was enjoying my third kid's infancy so much. Like I had a good time. And I was like, God, I don't have any of these memories with Olive. Oh, because I was gone.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And so I was like, I can't keep doing that. And then, sorry, this is taking a long time. Whew. But then when we all started working from home, I felt like the busyness for the sake of busyness culture got even worse because our employers started freaking out. Like, how do we check on them? How do we know they're doing stuff?
That was a weird transition.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was like, hey, we need you to go in Salesforce and build your pipeline,
I'm going to barf.
Yes. 14x what you actually think you're going to sell this quarter. And that exercise alone is going to take you 2 hours per client, but you need to do it anyway.
We are triggering everyone in corporate America right now. If you're in like healthcare or something else, you have no idea what we're talking about, but
you're busy for the sake of being busy in your own annoying way. Yeah. Or they're like, hey, you need to go to this Epic training for like 6 months.
Right.
Anyway, so it was just like, I was repulsed by it and I was burning out so hard. And so I left and now I have truly been, and again, I want to say like that is a very privileged thing to get to leave. I understand that most of you can't just leave, but it wasn't like the most sound financial decision to leave, but I was like, I have to leave because like I can't buy into this anymore.
No.
I needed to get myself out of grind culture. And when I first left, all of my identity and my self-worth was so wrapped up in my busyness and my job. I was like making everyone uncomfortable with my like overly long and self-deprecating explanations of why I left and what I was going to do with my life. And then our babysitter, Maddie, who I call my sister wife all the time, I was spiraling one day. I was like, I don't know. Like, no, I mean, I'm keeping busy. And she was like, and I was like, should I just go start applying for more jobs? And she was like, Annie, fuck. She's like, you like just took yourself you're trying to grind yourself out of getting out of grind culture. She said this like profound thing.
That's so true.
She was like, you're literally grinding right now.
Maddie, you're so wise. I know you're watching.
She's young and wise.
You're young and wise.
And I was like, God, you're right. So that's my long-winded way of saying that I'm on a journey right now where I burned out and busyness makes my skin crawl.
I think that's going to be really relatable for a lot of people because I do think one good byproduct of the pandemic, like you said, is people like had to step back, slow down, and like really evaluate what their everyday looked like. Cause we had to, we were just home all the time. And I think, so many people agree and just are like, I can't do that anymore. I want to work. And even like, I don't even know if people are like, I need to do my passion project, but I do think people are way more like, this is actually killing me.
Yeah.
Like the stress of this is actually going to shorten my lifespan if I don't do something about it. So I think it's what you said is very relatable and probably really rampant.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess I would encourage people, like, if you do feel like you have the financial situation where you could take a pause on something that you feel like is kind of killing you.
Yeah.
Try it.
Just
give yourself a little bit of time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's people could be like cursing us for being like, sounds easy for you. But like, so yeah. Or I guess the other part of this is if you are going through this and it's your only option, like we deeply feel for you.
Yes. We deeply feel for you. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll have some takeaways of like maybe how you can reprioritize at work.
Right. And slowly maybe start unraveling whatever it is that you're in and figure out what comes next without quitting your job. Because I know that's not practical for everyone. Yeah. Okay. So we just took a little break and I have some like good live news.
Okay. I'm scared.
No, it's good.
Okay.
So this same company I was just talking about in the beginning that I partnered with.
Yeah.
They sent me an email last night and it looked really sketchy because.
Okay.
So I was like, this doesn't look right. But it was still the same marketing company. It was just a weird name. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is like, I think they wanted to work with me again.
Yeah.
So I read it. They asked me my rates for a different campaign.
Okay.
Same company, different campaign.
Yeah.
And I gave them higher prices and they just accepted it. Like
they accepted it.
I just looked. They just accepted it. A higher.
Whoa.
Let's fucking go.
That's crazy.
Live on the Great Imposters podcast. Dreams are coming true.
Oh my God. And so you didn't lowball yourself.
I didn't lowball myself.
And they accepted it.
Yep.
I love that.
Yes. So
God,
stay tuned.
I'm thinking too about how like it's so much easier to give other people that advice.
Yes.
Like don't lowball yourself. You're worth it.
Yes.
But like I don't do that for myself.
Well, especially because I would have done it for free.
Yeah.
To have the exposure. Right. That's not true. I wouldn't have done it for free, but I would have done it for little.
Yeah.
But I don't need to. Like it's my skill set. It's my like time.
Yeah.
Why am I like low? Yeah. Don't sell yourself short.
And you did it.
I did it.
Live. All right. So I talked for like 47 minutes about my why.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm
like, yeah,
totally.
Let me get back to where we were.
When are you going to shut up? No. I have a totally different, I love everything you said. It's going to be super relatable. I have a very like niche issue with the concept of being busy.
Okay.
And I really hope that this reaches someone who can agree with me. So if you are someone who has been a participant in toxic sales culture, which is something I've done my entire career, with the exception of like 1 year, which I told you all about my in the first episode when I was an assistant.
Yes.
Other than that, I've been a seller, like an individual contributing salesperson, quota carrying, like I don't sell into accounts that are already a client, like net new selling, grinding, hunting. Okay.
Yeah. Which I just want everyone to know that that's much more badass than the kind of selling I was doing. I had like a book of business that was given
I had
to
no
me.
book of business. I had like, so, and I still don't, like, I don't. Yeah. So that's always been my nature of selling, just to kind of set the scene. Now, I've been in the same industry for most of it, and I'm not going to talk badly about any company in particular, but I love the company I'm at right now. The company I was at previously to this was fantastic for most of it. Okay. The company before that, my first company in this arena that I'm in,
was it like Wolf of Wall Street vibes?
Yes.
Oh.
But like, so I want to talk about, let me just kind of start riffing on toxic sales culture. So any company I've been in, like, and it's been a lot of like, smile and dial, like make 100 calls a day. Like if you're not like, if you're not like no days off, if you're not grinding, you're dying. I made that last one up, but that's not a thing.
Or they worship, what's that like Glenn Gary movie?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Boiler Room? Or
that one. And then there's like the Glenn.
Yes.
I'll look it up for you guys.
It's always been very cheesy. I'm just like, the point I'm going to eventually get to is that I don't fit into sales culture. I never have.
And she's an intuitive exerciser.
I'm an intuitive
seller.
Not let that go. That I'm an intuitive exerciser. Okay. Listen, I just never have fit into this, like anytime I've been at any job I've been in, not the one I'm in now, but there's always been like either weekly, monthly, or quarterly, the whole sales team is together and it's like this pump up thing. And like, we're sharing results and we're clapping it up for the people who, sold a lot that month or that week or that quarter, whatever.
Yeah.
And that depending on where I was. And then there's always like at the end of whatever that conference is, someone is on stage telling you how they did it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that is, and then there was always like a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
And it was always someone who like lost both their limbs and is like, if I could do it, you could do this. And I'm like, are we serious right now? Like, this person got into like a near death accident and is like hanging on for dear life. And they're just like, you know, now a motivational speaker. I'm like, that is so far from selling this software.
Yes.
Like, it's just, it never resonated with me. It was always so cheesy.
We had someone come talk about how they climbed Mount Everest as like a beginner novice and then like lost half of the people they were like, the half of the people they were climbing with like died.
Yeah. And they're like, so like you guys, it's like, it's relatable to what you guys are doing now.
They're like, no, I got back on that mountain.
Yes.
I went back, and I'm just in there sitting there thinking like, that's super dumb.
Wait, now I'm having, hold on. There's so many of these stories. One time during the pandemic, Drew Brees was hired to do our pep talk. He had no idea what we did. It was so funny. He was just like, I was like, what is this for? Like, Drew Brees is like a very decorated quarterback of like the NFL. He doesn't even know what we do. Like, he didn't reference what we do once. He was just kind of talking at us. It was there was so much of that in the culture.
I think that if you join a company and your leader frequently uses LFG or Let's Fucking Go by Tom Brady, you should run. That should be your first indicator.
I mean,
unless you're doing it funny and ironically as Joelle and I do.
Right. We love LFG.
Yeah.
But there's just, so I guess, you know, I will tie this back to busyness, but I get, that's just like, for anyone who's not familiar with sales culture, that's like setting the stage of just how insane it is and how ridiculous, honestly, it is.
Yeah.
So now cut back to there is such a, excuse my French, there's such a dick measuring contest of being busy all the time.
Yes.
In like a male dominated sales culture, which is what I've always been in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of women now, but honestly, even some of the women are the same way.
Oh.
But it's just like this, it's just like this former boys club that like now there's women in who are like always like have this chip on their shoulder to try to keep up. And I can't relate to either one. I can't relate to the men who just like have their wife at home as their assistant because that is very common in my industry.
Yep.
And I also can't relate to a woman who just like is so competitive and just trying to like be the best and like take everyone down. Like, I'm not like that either.
No.
You know?
And on a lot of my, God, I'm so glad you're saying that. Like, I don't want to derail you, but I often found that women were more toxic to other women in
for sure
our industry.
I mean, the thought of like there were women at a former company that like if there was, oh my God, this is so fucked up. If there was a a female seller on maternity leave and she had a female boss, they would move some of her accounts like during maternity leave. So this is not a gendered thing. It's like there's toxic on both sides.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that there was at one of my sales summits or whatever we called them, there was like got man after man after man would get up on stage and be like, you know, to be successful, like, listen, I'm busy all the time. So like my wife is doing all my like marketing and my mailers and like, and I'm like, are you that fucking tone deaf? There are so many women in this. I literally, there were times I like got up and walked out. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it became this joke. And actually my friend, shout out to my friend Andrew, he one time got on stage. He thought it was so offensive that men would do that he got on stage once and he was like the top seller in every year that like, and he would be like, I would never make my wife my assistant. So like he like negged them. It was so gratifying.
Yeah.
Like, love you, Andrew, for doing that for all of us. But anyway, it was just like, so there's always that like posturing though of like, I'm so busy. I don't have time. I couldn't possibly have time for all this. So my wife does it for me.
Yeah.
Or just like even any job I've ever been in, it's like, if you're not busy at that moment, there's either guilt associated with it.
Yeah.
Or and here's the point I want to make where my imposter syndrome came in is that I never was as busy as these people or that they were claiming to be. That's the thing. Everyone's like, yeah, I mean, I'm getting up at 3:30 in the morning to go to the gym so that I can. It's like, no, you don't. Just stop. You know, and you don't have to.
Yeah.
Number one, you're lying. Number two, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And just so I can get my dials in and get my mind right and then, do this and I have this meetings and I have to do this and then, bleh. And I'm just like, it's so, everyone's just full of shit.
Yeah.
And then like, do you know who Eric Thomas is? He has that video of where he's like, he's a motivational speaker. He's like,
okay,
if you want to succeed as badly as you want to breathe. Do you know that guy?
Yeah.
The amount of times I've been shown that video in a sales corporate. And I'm like, can everyone calm the fuck down?
Yeah.
No, like I do not want to succeed as badly as I want to breathe. I actually need to breathe. Like, everyone needs to relax.
Yes, everyone needs to chill out.
And I'm busy all the time, and I'm making, like, I remember there were people like, if you're not making your sales calls at 5 p.m. on Friday, that's when you're going to get people on the phone. I'm like, ew. No, you're not. Like, that,
they're going to hate you.
Yeah. So I feel like, and the kicker here is, like, I've had bad months and a bad year here and there, but over 15 years, like, on average over time, I've been incredibly successful.
Yes.
Without grinding myself to the fucking ground.
Yes. Ditto.
Right. And it's like, the way people posture as being busy all the time has always, I used to think there was something wrong with me because I'm not busy enough. I'm not doing the things that they're doing. I'm not waking up at 3:30 to lift, and I never felt, even to this day, I don't feel like I fit in like that grind culture because it was never me.
Yeah. Because you're intuitive.
Because I'm intuitive and I'm healthy.
No, but you are. You are. Sorry, I love to bring back the intuitive thing. But,
yes.
But you are. Like, I've said it so many times in every episode, like, you just, like, you know what works for Joelle and you do it unapologetically, and I respect the shit out of that.
Oh my God, thank you. That's really nice of you to say. I feel like, and I've also gotten to the point, though, where, in the past couple of years, post-pandemic, so let's just say post-pandemic, I've interviewed and gotten 2 different jobs. Like, I had that one job where I got laid off after 13 months. So I had to interview for that. And then there was also the job I'm in now, which is great. And that, like, I work for a very close friend from I have a really nice setup right now. So everything I'm talking about now excludes my current job.
Okay, but I want to stop you there because I hear so many women and men have guilt when they have a good setup at their job.
Really?
I hear so many people, you weren't necessarily, that wasn't necessarily guilt, but I hear this thing where they're like, well, I mean, I get to go, like, get my nails done on Thursdays. And it's like, yeah, because that's how life should be.
That's how life should be.
That's how life should be.
You shouldn't feel, if you're getting your job done selling is really hard.
Yes.
If it weren't as hard as it is, everyone would do it because there's a ton of money in it.
Right.
So I feel like if you want to get a manicure on a Thursday and you're doing everything you need to do otherwise, that's the perk of the job.
Yes. Yeah.
And, like, you shouldn't have to feel guilty for that.
Yeah. And you know what? Right. And there are a lot of people that feel really guilty for it. And of course there are a lot of professions where you cannot get your nails done on Thursday, but like, own the profession that you chose.
Correct.
And so be comfortable being comfortable sometimes.
Yes.
It's okay.
Right. And I'm here literally, like, I'm not saying we have, like, the most massive audience in the world. We will. But this is a public platform. Anyone can hear this. Anyone I work with can hear this right now. I am telling you, I get manicures on Thursdays sometimes.
Yeah.
I said it. Like,
She's fired.
Like, fire me. Like, it's not because I get my job done.
Yes.
There's no hours.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I get my job done and then I do the things I need to do.
Yeah.
So
stay with the bosses that treat you like an adult. Stay with the bosses that treat you like you are responsible for your own schedule.
When I was at my last company, I posted an Instagram story from Whole Foods. Because I went there to get lunch. Because that's what people do. They need to eat and take a break from work.
Yeah.
And someone DM'd me that I worked with. It was like, wow, you got some balls to be posting from Whole Foods in the middle of the day. I'm like, are you high?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, what is wrong? People are everyone's posturing that they're busy all the time and they're focused and they're in it. That is how you become a burnout.
Yes, that's how you burn out.
Yes.
I know. It drives me nuts. Like,
I just hate when people act busy all the time. No, you're not that busy all the time.
Yes.
And if you are, you're going to burn out.
You're going to burn out. Here's my privileged white girl study abroad persona coming in too.
Can't wait.
When you go, this is an American cultural problem.
Correct.
It is an American cultural problem. We equate self-worth with busyness.
Yes.
Like, in other cultures, they do not do that.
No.
Joelle and I were, like, planning this episode, and I was doing this research on other cultures and how they approach it. And they center their busyness around purpose, or the language equivalent, in their language of the word purpose. Like, in Japan, it's called Iki or Ikigai. Don't hate me if I mispronounce that, but it's all about, like, you wake up every day to do something and live your life with purpose. But it's very different than, like, you live to work.
Yes.
It's like you know you have a purpose. You know that you have to be doing things every day. Yeah, you don't get to spend every day, like, doing whatever you want. But if it's not,
it's rooted in a different message.
it's rooted in a different message. And like every other, I really feel like most cultures have that, and we don't. We are we glorify really only the grind culture stories.
Yes.
In American, even in American movies, like we
Yes.
glorify the grind culture, the stories, the rags to riches stories, which like are just as often are just as unrealistic or hard to do as becoming a professional athlete. Like
Right.
those are sometimes 1 in a million people. Sometimes how hard you work doesn't mean success, especially if you're a woman or a minority in the country. Like, so it's kind of, I mean, we're all victim to this like boomer white dude
Yes.
busyness story.
Yes.
And if I have to read one more goddamn article about what, the CEO of such and such company does, like they wake up at 5 a.m., they meditate, and then they have their green smoothie, and then they get their
Yes.
lift session in.
And then they ice bath.
And then they ice bath. I love cold plunging.
I know, but
Yeah, but I don't ice
I've
plunge.
actually never done it. I need to.
It's kind of great. I could talk about that for hours. But yes, it's like, God, I don't want to hear about their ridiculous routines anymore, that they have such a life that they can do all of that, but the rest of us don't.
Yeah.
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 But we
no,
glorify those stories.
Yeah. No, it's not.
It's so annoying.
It's so annoying. I just think, kind of to wrap this segment up,
Yeah.
I think that everyone needs to be a little more gentle on themselves.
Yeah.
And also when here's some advice no one asked for. This was actually what I was going to say before.
Yeah.
When you interview for a job, own your standards. So like anytime, this is what I was going to say. I've had 2 jobs since the pandemic.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Now I'm like going back to that point because I want to make this point. But in both of those interview processes, one, which I was going to a new startup, which ended up not working out, and then my current company, in both situations, I said like, this is how much money I need to make because that's what I'm comfortable with. And also, if this is a job where, like, just so you know, I had this with the first job, the CEO of the company interviewed me, and then the second one, whatever, doesn't really count. But I said, my number one is being a mother. My kids are this old and this old, however old they were at the time. And I also missed a lot of Blair's first year of life because I was traveling a lot for a previous sales job.
Yeah.
Like a lot of unnecessary travel.
Yes.
Like social unnecessary travel.
Yes.
That pissed me off a lot. And I said that, like, if this is going to be a job where, like, being present comes before anything to do with my kids, then it's not going to be a fit.
Yep.
And by owning that, more people respected me.
That's amazing. I never could have done that. That's so inspirational.
Thank you. And I just would like that because I've said on an interview, I said, listen, if I have a really important meeting scheduled and one of my kids is sick, I'm going to reschedule the meeting. Like and if I have to travel during some milestone, if it's a birthday, a first day of school, certain things, I'm like, I'm not going.
See, that's so cool. That's so great. And that's why I burned out, because I never could say that.
Yeah.
And
that's probably why I'm still in corporate America, because I did.
Yeah. But I'm such a people pleaser that I would just be like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Wherever you need me, I'll be
whatever
there.
you need. And I did that. And I just did it. I just did it. And I did it. And I remember too, like, after things started to calm down pandemic wise, I remember a boss saying to me, like, look, even if your clients are saying they don't want to see you, I want you on your road. I want you on the road seeing your clients once a month. And I had like 6 or 7 clients. And I was like, wait, but
that's
if they
the
don't
dumbest
want,
thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yes. And it was like, and then I'm crunchy. So I was also like, the fossil fuels we're burning on those planes to go visit people that don't want to hang out with us.
Right.
Like, this is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
It was nuts. And that, yeah. But that's, everybody should listen to Joelle, because I did not do that in my career.
Own what you want, or else you're not a good fit for the job, and the job's not a good fit for you.
Totally. Like let the 24-year-olds have it. They will do, and I mean that genuinely.
Yeah,
they'll do an amazing job.
Yeah. Find a better suited culture.
Yeah. Boom.
Here, boom. Mic drop. Okay.
All right. Let's pivot to, we talked a lot about career, but the other busyness thing that's a big trigger for me as I'm on my journey. Actually, speaking of which, I've taken my freaking Apple Watch off because I'm like, I can't multitask anymore. I'm trying so hard to be like present.
Yeah.
Anyway, that thing goes off all the time because I'm so popular.
They're kind of chuggy anyway, don't you think?
Chuggy?
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I know what chuggy is.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've never had an Apple Watch because I'm like, this cramps my style.
Yeah, it would cramp your style. But I can cross over really fluidly from chuggy to chic AF. So
yeah, true.
Yeah. I was fishing. You said yes.
And I like passed. Yeah.
God, I have such a, do you hear that like smoker's laugh? That I don't smoke, but do you hear when that happens?
No.
Like, maybe a doctor
Your
will,
emphysema.
yeah, maybe like a doctor will diagnose me by proxy on this with something. Okay. Pivot to, let's talk about like personal life and busyness with kids.
Yes.
Can I go first?
Please.
I'm just like
bursting.
I cannot stand overscheduling kids to death.
And that is the culture we live in.
I can't stand it.
That's new. It's got to be new because when we were kids, I feel like it was like maybe someone had something once a week.
Yes.
When they were little. Our kids, and by the way, all of our kids are under 7 collectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are like, I meet parents that have the most intense schedules and regimens for their kindergarten and younger kids.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, they don't need that. Like the science, the data, everything says they do not need that.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I do think that is a lot of, do you feel like that's like keeping up a lot? Because it's like, oh, well, they're doing it.
Oh, it's a total keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Kind of like parents should go back and listen to our episode about FOMO because like,
yeah,
you can't have FOMO by proxy through your children. That's not going to go well for them.
No.
But I will say,
and then it's like burnout by proxy,
yes,
right? Because then you're like burning out your small child.
And like the jury's in, like the data's there that says like they don't need to be that busy all the time. They need like boredom and free play and all this stuff. And
well, kids don't know how to be bored anymore.
They don't know how to be bored. And so I feel like a couple friends now, not you, but a couple of my other friends have made a comment to me recently. Like 4 different people have been like, well, I know you kind of you don't like to do a lot on your weekends. A few people have said that to me.
What?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so passive aggressive.
I know, but it is kind of true. Like I'm very intense on the weekends. Like I don't like to overschedule because my kids are in daycare. My oldest daughter's in kindergarten, which kindergarten now is pretty much like
high school.
Yeah. And so I'm like, they need time to just chill.
Yeah.
They need time to like be in their pajamas and play with the toys we buy them and things. And so,
right.
Yeah. So I do get a little bit like nuclear on the weekends where I'll always make sure we have a weekend night where we're free and we're just chilling.
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because kind of going along with what you're saying, I can't remember the last time that we just woke up and stayed in our pajamas for like hours.
Yeah.
And like just hung out like that.
Yeah.
You feel like you're doing something wrong.
You do. You feel
Yes.
guilt. And then you'll get right around like 11 a.m. You'll be like, the kids they're not doing anything.
I mean, also because Chad gets up and goes and gets coffee. You know that.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
actually, that's one of Chad's superpowers.
Yeah. Like we all went on vacation together and every morning he went and got he and I like a fancy latte and
Yes.
my husband and Joelle a black coffee.
Because we're elitist purists. Yes.
Yeah. So like I'm really passionate about the culture of busyness as it pertains to kids and personal life here. And I was doing some research for this episode and I read this really interesting article about how a lot of people from other countries that move here and English is their second language, they've come across this phenomenon before where when someone's learning English in America, they think that like busy means good or busy means like has a positive connotation because they'll ask so many people when they're practicing the language, they'll be like, how are you? And so many people will say busy that they like think it means good. that literally
Wait, that
happens.
is mind blowing.
Yes.
But I do that all the time. When people are like, how have you been? Busy.
You do?
I say that all the time.
I'm going to make you stop saying that.
Well, I think I do it too because usually when someone says, how have you been? It means I haven't seen them in a while. And then you know what I mean? And then I feel guilty and I'm like, oh, we've been busy.
But that's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like all the research that I did too just talks about how like, again, you have to align your busyness. Like don't make yourself busy for the sake of being busy or don't feel like you're not worthy because you're not busy. And that a lot of it ties back to like FOMO.
Yeah.
In different facets of our lives. But that like you have to be able to kind of align your busyness to a purpose.
Right.
And again, I want to like do the privilege check there of like not everybody can do that. Absolutely not. But when it comes to planning like your social life and things like that, you can. It goes back to like do what feels good. Do what like feels like you're busy in a good way, not like busy for the sake of being busy.
Put your energy towards.
Thank you.
Right? Like towards busy, like keep busy with the things that feel good.
Yes. Keep busy with the things that feel good.
Yes.
And my mom's going to laugh hard that I'm about to talk about reading a book because
You don't read.
Don't read.
Neither do I.
I suck at reading. I've sucked at reading since learning to read.
Do you want to know something? I have imposter syndrome about reading.
Books. Yes. Okay. I was on
All of my friends read.
Yes.
They're all moms. I'm like, where do you have the time?
I know. We had a fired up mom group chat one day. The girls that are listening to this are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I almost said with my other friends. my other
non-Joelle friends. You have no other friends.
With the like pre-K group of moms.
Yes. Because many of which are my friends too, yes.
Because one of them set a reading goal for the year.
Oh gosh.
And we all got so defensive. Like I was like, well, I don't have time to read. And then everybody was like, and so this poor friend was like, whoa, guys, chill. Like my kids are out of diapers. And like, I was sharing something that I really care about, which is reading, and
so
you
are
attacked
mine.
me.
What's my excuse? I read never.
It's okay though. But then I was going to tell you, I was also on a hike because I'm crunchy, and
so crunchy.
My other friend, no,
because Annie's just so popular.
It's like, she said that she was listening to some podcast where the guy was giving dating advice, which that sentence should just never occur.
Yeah.
I don't know if males suck at dating advice. But he was like, I'm really male bashing today. Sorry.
That's okay.
We want you to listen to dudes. I'm going to look at all three cameras. But he said something like, if you're on a first date and someone sits down and you ask them what are your top 10 books that you've read in your life, and that person can't answer it, get up out of the table. Leave. I was like, I can't answer that question.
That's the worst advice I've ever heard. I can't even name 10 books.
Yes. Literally, I would be making it up by book 5. I'd be like, and then, like the Mark Twain's The Great American Dynasty. Like I'd be literally making up names.
Marxism.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would be just like referencing like just like political systems and know that they had a book about them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, don't have imposter syndrome about not reading a lot. There will come a time in your life where you're so passionate about a subject that you're going to read about it.
Honestly, I'm not going to guarantee that for myself.
You are, because I never thought I would get there. And Mom, I want you to know that I've read a couple books this year. It's a big deal.
That's beautiful.
And by the way, when I said read, I mean listen to.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's the other thing. I would always rather listen to podcasts than books on tape. Or books on tape. What am I?
Yeah.
In the like 19th century. I just feel like I don't know. It's not for me. But anyway.
But I never thought I would be in this position to recommend something.
Okay, go.
But 2 things changed my life this year. Because again, my self-worth was completely wrapped up in my career. When I left, I was a spiraling psycho where I was just like, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just a piece of shit now. And I mean, that's literally like how I talked for a while. Remember? Like I was like, well, yeah, anyway, I didn't take a nap today. And then I read, my therapist actually forced reading, forced assignment. The first thing is a really, really famous, I guess it's a poem. See, I'm so bad at books.
Oh my God.
Like literature. I think it's a poem technically, or like an essay maybe, but it's by a very famous author, Audre Lorde, and it's called Poetry is Not a Luxury.
Ooh.
And I want everybody to go home and read it.
Okay, actually, that sounds like I would like it.
You would love it.
Okay.
And then the book is a short read. It's been around for a really long time. It's by another famous person, Bell Hooks, and it's called All About Love.
You had me at short.
Yeah, it's great. It's a quick read. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to open your mind wide open to this busyness conversation and just like the culture that we're in and how it's manufactured busyness. And both of those pieces, because now that I read, I can say pieces. Both of those pieces
of literature
changed my life, though.
Wow.
Like, because I'm also a very creative person. See, that felt weird to say.
Yeah.
Because you feel like an imposter. But I'm also a really creative person. And like creative people need to have time where they're bored. But our society thinks that if you're bored, you're not
unproductive.
Worthy. You're unproductive. You're doing something bad. There's guilt and shame around boredom.
Yes.
There's guilt and shame around boredom with our kids. Like if we're a parent and our kids are bored, we feel guilt and shame. And so like I read those things and they like broke the busyness piece wide open for me in a way that I finally understood.
I love that.
And it's not the kind of, everybody will give the advice of like, lock your phone in a concrete box when you're around your kids or whatever. It's not like that.
Yeah.
Like your phone, your phone's going to be an addiction forever. So it's not that kind of advice. Yeah. It's like, It's just about like evaluate in life why you are so obsessed with being busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I think that's a perfect place to end too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think, yeah, it sounds like, well, number one, I might read those books. I'm going to.
The first one, the Audre Lorde one, is like, I guess it's an essay.
Okay.
So it's like 3 book pages. So it's like
I can do that.
Oh yeah, girl, you can do it. And you're gonna read it and you're gonna cry.
Okay.
It's so wonderful.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's my homework.
That's your homework.
I love it. Well, I hope that this helped I feel like there's probably something in this episode for everyone.
Yeah.
Like at some point, unless you're part of the problem. But in that case, I hope maybe you have a shift in your perspective
Look
as well.
inward.
Look
Yeah.
inward. Because it's just life is hard enough. And like I feel like the human experience is only capable of so much.
Totally.
And it's really okay to not be grinding yourself into nothing.
Yes. Stop. But don't buy in so much to the grind culture. Do your job, do a good job at it. But like you don't have to keep up with other people that are propping up this system of meetings for the sake of meetings and busyness for the sake of busyness.
And your 4-year-old son does not need to be in 7 soccer travel leagues.
No, stop.
Yeah.
They're not going to be a professional athlete.
Hate to break the news.
Oh, it's so uncomfy.
Well, with that, I have been Joelle. That's not what we say.
I have been Annie.
This has been Joelle.
This has been Annie.
And we will catch you on the next one.
And thank you, DJ Dex. I love that.